Why is this so freaking hard? Why is everything so hard? I work all day to see the money fizzle away. Just gone in bills. No seeking thrills, no nothing. It's just gone. All the time. The money you make just vanishes. Cut back on what? Cut back on everyday normal necessities, normal life. There's nothing to cut back on. You can't cut back because everything everybody has is a necessity, is a need. It's a freaking need. It's 13 hours I'm going on. 13-hour day. The money is gone. To bills, to paper. It's just gone. I want to take my daughters to an amusement park. Can't do that. I got bills. Want to take my daughters on vacation. Can't do that. I need to work. Everything is so freaking hard all the time. It's not easy. You work your tail off to get you ahead and something sets you behind. And everyone's feeling it. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. I got 2 vehicles. We can afford bills. We can afford life. My wife can afford being a stay-at-home mom. But everything is still hard. It doesn't change. The housing market's terrible. Everything's terrible. Budget better. There's nowhere to budget. You think I've spent money for fun? My money's gone. My money's gone before it's even made. It's gone. I work to keep our head above water, but it's gone. We have to plan fun events.
It absolutely should not be like that. People should not have to have multiple sources of income or be working like 80 hours a week just to afford the bare minimum. And me personally, right? I got a full-time job, multiple sources of income. I got multiple side hustles. People will still tell me, just work harder. I don't buy coffee every day. I barely go out to eat. I don't have subscriptions to Netflix or anything like that. I drive a Toyota Camry. Instead of that route, right? Why don't we actually take the time to acknowledge the issue at hand here? The fact that everybody's broke and like 10 people have all of the money. This is the median household income, right? For the last like 30 years. And then this is the housing market. Straight up on some Travis Scott shit. And older people still have the nerve to say that we're the ones to blame. We're at fault. Gen Z, y'all lazy, y'all not doing enough. Those are the type of people that do not live in reality because they evidently have no idea what's going on in the world. I know there's probably going to be comments talking about oh yeah, I work 80 hours a week. I did this, I did that, and I was able to do this. It shouldn't be like that. That's the point I'm trying to make here, okay? You should be able to do all of that with your 80 hours a week with 40 hours a week. And you should agree with me. If not, they got your ass.
Dear United States government or Trump or whoever, I just want to bring to y'all's attention, me and my wife, we're in the middle class, right? Lower to middle class. And we have 2 kids that are under 2 years old. We both work full time. Which is the problem, actually. I'll get to that. But we have been getting quoted around $3,000 per month to watch our kids in daycare. And our mortgage is almost half of that. And so basically, we're left with about, $1,500 to pay the rest of our bills and feed our family. And guess what? We don't qualify for any benefits or anything like that because we make too much. It's the worst predicament I've ever seen in my life. Like, what are we supposed to do? Honestly, I'm not trying to come off rude or anything, but I just don't understand how it's like this. We need some help, dude. Anyways, can someone fix this or something?
I just think it's so obvious when you're misaligned. Because I feel it in my body. Like, my body fucking aches. I'm exhausted all the time. And I'm just living in survival mode. And I'm just wondering how other people are doing it. I'm not even working a job that I don't like for a lot of money. I'm working a job that I don't like. You're living in survival mode. And I want to be grateful. I have a roof over my head. But damn, like, if this roof over my head doesn't cost nearly an entire paycheck for me, like, I want to be able to enjoy life. I don't want to come home from work so exhausted that, like, I can't do anything else, or so broke that I can't do anything else. You know that feeling where you're like, something has to change. Something has to change, and you're looking for different avenues to make the changes, and, like, it feels like there's no option. It just feels like what you want, like, you don't even know what that is to, like, pick a different avenue. You just know that where you're at isn't right. It's such a shitty place to be. Yeah, so that's what I'm going through. If anybody else feels like this, you're not alone. You're not the only one. And I don't know if anybody has felt like this and made it out of the funk, or found a job that they love and got out of survival mode. I would love to hear what you did.
So what are we doing? Are we just quitting our jobs and living off the government now, or what? Because our jobs are not enough to pay the freaking bills, buy the groceries, pay for the gas, and buy all the things that you gotta have to live. And going out and having fun, you can hang that up, because it ain't happening on the paycheck. Might have to go take me out a whole ass loan just to live life. I mean, at this point, we just living to work, and there ain't no working to live, because we ain't living. I mean, at least I'm not. But you got folks out here that ain't never had a job, going on vacation after vacation after vacation, living their whole ass best life. And yet, we trying to be the good people, the middle class, the law-abiding citizens, and can't get the shit right. What's wrong with this?
Doing the monthly budget is starting to get scarier and scarier. How is it that for the majority of us, we're making more than we ever have in our entire lives, but yet we're also the brokest that we've ever been? I don't even know what to do anymore. I'm sitting here trying to figure out where to come up with an extra $600, because that's pretty much what I run short now, paying bills. There's always something you have to pick and choose and pay or not pay. And what are we even eating these days? Because groceries are astronomical. Gas for your cars is astronomical. Oh my God. I'm starting to wonder if this is what our parents went through when we were being brought up. And I kind of want to go back to the days where I was young and dumb and thought just because you had checks, that meant you had money. Because I got plenty of those. But who writes a check anymore? I haven't written a check for anything in years. Everything's electronic. And I heard that in 20 years' time, cash is going to be a thing of the past. Well, it's already a thing of the past in my bank account, because I sure don't have any cash. I haven't had cash in forever. And as far as what's in my bank account, that's pretty slim pickings these days too. I don't even know. The financial crisis in this country is astounding. What's going to happen when none of us can afford to eat, pay our bills? We're all just going to be foraging on the street, I guess. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to my crash out. See y'all later.
All right. Shalom. Shalom. All praise to the Most High Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem, B'chak B'dash, and double honor to our apostles, elders, and bishops here at Great Millstone for teaching this truth that's going all around the earth. And shalom to the hopeful elect. It's your brother Atazawan. We're going to get a real quick lesson. All right. And I put that clip in the front from the brother Hopeful Elect 3. And we see that many of the citizens of Babylon the Great, are beginning to feel the pinch. They're voicing their opinions about the economy of Babylon the Great, how difficult it is to even manage, all right, their lives and really their family. As you see, a couple of them, what appear to be Edomite men, Salakia, referring to how tough it is to even have, what they would call a normal life, right? A middle class, so-called middle class life. And you have nobody to thank but the elites, because certainly the so-called Negroes and Latinos, Native Americans, they didn't cause this problem, right? Now, of course, it is Yahweh Hashem Yahushai destroying Babylon the Great from the inside out, okay? And now, you have these particular people, and you see some women in there, crying about how life is not so great. Well, the Israelites have caught hell here for the last 450 years. I'll say it that way, 450 to 500 years here, right? Ever since those people came over here. So here it is, you might be within 5, 6, 7 years of having it rough, and you're complaining, okay? Well, we've always had to deal with tough times here, all right? So, but what that is the Lord destroying this place and the people who live deliciously, that race of people, right? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, here in Babylon the Great, who enriched themselves off of the backs and the blood of the Israelites who were already here, right? And stolen their land and so on and so forth. So now you get to this generation, right, in which all they did, all the generations before this one, talking about the Edomites, they've gobbled up all of the land, and a lot of these people, who made themselves rich, have left nothing to their children, and so the system itself is failing them, okay? But at the same time, you have to understand that the Lord said, these people are cursed to his judgment, number one. And number two, it's already written in the scriptures that the curses that were upon the Israelites, all right, they will start to show themselves on the enemies of the Lord, number one, and of the Israelites, okay? But this place is on its way out, and they just can't handle it. Okay, now meanwhile, all the years spent where Jake struggled here, nobody cared about that. Okay, they would tell Jake, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. We shouldn't be working and taking our tax dollars and paying for you all to be on welfare and so on and so forth. Well, there's more Edomites on welfare than anybody else. Okay. But anyway, we see the fact that the Most High is destroying this place. And so, after I saw that, I got a couple of scriptures here that I'd like to add onto it. The brother had Haggai in there, okay? And so there's a couple of other scriptures that came to my mind. And this is one of them. It's Ecclesiastes 12, and we'll read down to probably verse 4. All right? Ecclesiastes 12:1 says, remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, right? So now we're coming upon evil days here in Babylon the Great, and those who sat so high for so long are on their way down, okay? And they can't deal with it, all right? Nor the years draw nigh when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, right? They have no pleasure in these days, right? And they don't know the Creator. They don't know Yahweh Shem Yahushua, Okay, now this is a warning to our people to always remember the Lord, right? Because anything that happens to you or for you, know that it is our Creator. So you praise the Lord when you doing at your best, right? And even when you're doing at your worst, right? So you always remember the Lord. Okay, going on, it says, and I'm gonna see if I can find another scripture. It just popped into my head. In the days of prosperity, if I could quote it, days of affliction are not remembered, or something to that effect. I'll have to look for it if I can remember. Verse 2, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the birds, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Salakia for that. So now you're looking at a time, or you're reading about a time of what? Despair, when despair comes. And essentially when there's no jobs, when there's no work, when the grinding is low. Okay? And we also in what? A time period where the music is crap. You see? So now you're looking at the fall of this wicked kingdom. And the citizens of this wicked kingdom who for generations did well, now not so much. Okay? And now they want to complain about it. You see? But that's part of the plan. It's part of the story. Okay? This is Salakia. Let me see if I had that other scripture I wanted. Let me get it right now before I forget. Let's see if we can go here. Deuteronomy 30 and 7. We'll just get right to the point. Deuteronomy 30 and 7, it says, "And the Lord Yahweh, thy power, will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee," right? And so when you look at Esau, Edom, so-called white man, here on this side of the planet, they persecute us day and night, okay? And have done so for hundreds of years. And so now it's their turn to take a bite of the sour apple, and they don't like it, you see? But so long as it wasn't them, nobody had a problem. So long as it was the Israelites struggling, barely eating, could barely afford to keep a roof over their heads, and so on, nothing was said, nothing was done, all right, to relieve the suffering, okay? But, again, we understand that was part of our punishment, all right? So we took our lick, now it's time for them to take theirs, right? And you can't be sorry for them, okay? Because whenever they had a chance, they put their foot in your ass. I'm talking to you, Jake. Okay? Revelation 18:21, it says, "And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city, Babylon, be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all." So this is the book of Revelation, Slakia. And it's not talking about ancient Babylon, right? It's talking about that last Babylon, that last captivity at the very end, okay? Which would be now, right? Where the bulk of the Israelites are here in the Americas, in the Western Hemisphere. Going on to verse 22, it says, "And the voice of the harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman," right, which is talking about workers, "of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee," right? And that's just like now, you hardly have any kind of manufacturing, any kind of factories, as they did, since way back in the 40s, all the way up until maybe the mid to late 80s, when things began to sour here in Babylon and a lot of plants and factories began to move out of America and go offshore, right? Verse 23, and the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived, right? The wickedness of Babylon the Great, okay, has affected basically the whole world economic situation, okay? Verse 24, and in her was found the blood of the prophets and of the saints and of all that was slain upon the earth. All right? So this place has to pay for its sins. Okay? That's what's written. Matter of fact, let me see here. Yeah, this is it, going up top. I could have just kept it in that first one, but nonetheless, let's matter of fact, start at the top. As it says there, verse 1 in 18, I pulled it up twice. Babylon is fallen. That's what it's titled, right? And so it says, and after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighted with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and it has become the habitation of devils, and the hole of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of her wrath, of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. You see? So this was a place where all other nations as well did trade, and made money. You see? Verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of the plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. Right, so this place has to be destroyed. And for us, we're going to be, Lord's will, the elect, if we're part of the elect, we'll be taken out of the way of the destruction of Babylon the Great. Okay, but we will see Jacob's trouble, however, as the scripture says, but you be saved out of it, Lord willing, if we're of the elect. Okay. But this place is on life support, as it were. Okay. Now let's go over to 2nd Ezra 15, and we're jumping right there. Verse 16, it says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Listen, verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So I think it was the last chick was talking about, what are we going to be doing, because groceries are so expensive. We're going to be foraging? No, you're not going to be foraging. You're going to be running for your life. That's what you're going to be doing, because it's going to get so bad, people are going to go door to door, kicking in people's doors, because they want to live and survive, and they're not going to care who you are and how many kids you have, and they're coming to spoil your house. So you're going to be running for your life. That's what you're going to be doing. You ain't going to be foraging, looking for berries and walnuts, okay? All right? It's going to be a very bad, dangerous time, you see? Let's go over to 2nd Ezra 16 real quick, and we'll be done. And we'll start right here at the top. It says, woe be unto thee, Babylon, you see, and Asia, woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. And this place is known, all right, as all these other different places. Okay, gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair, bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand, A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? May any man drive away an hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire in stubble when it hath begun to burn? May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer? The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? Of course, we know that this place is going to be destroyed by nuclear weapons shot over here by these other nations. Ultimately, when Babylon is just burned down to the ground, okay, but these other plagues also, famine, the sword, all right? People use guns today, all right? These are also plagues of violence. You see, plagues of the earth itself, earthquakes and so on. So all of these things will be mixed in to make it a very terrible, turbulent time, okay? Verse 9, the fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? The earth quaketh, and the foundations thereof. The sea ariseth up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord and before the glory of his power, right? Because even when it does get to that point where nuclear weapons are shot, you're going to see, well, hopefully we're not here. We're taken up, okay? But there's going to be tsunamis, earthquakes, floods, everything. You see? And it's going to be a hell of a time. Verse 13, for strong is the right hand that bendeth the bow, his arrows that are Salakia, that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. Like as an arrow which is shot of the mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, right? And so when things really hit the fan here, finding something to eat is probably going to be the least of your problems, okay? Whether you have a daycare for your children is going to be the least of your problems, okay? Whether you have one automobile or two is going to be the least of your problems, okay? Your life is going to be on the line, all right? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be mindful, always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. And you're starting to see a little bit of that now. Okay? For a long time, you could get extra value meals. I don't even know if they sell that stuff anymore because I don't eat fast food like that. I don't go to these fast food burger joints. I don't know if they still sell value meals. I guess they do. But you could go to these other different places. Let me see, Dollar General, or let me see, what else is out there? Well, these chained grocery store chains that sell cheap food. Okay, all right. They still have that kind of thing, people surviving off of it, but there's going to come a day when that's not going to be available, okay? Which, as it describes here, these are the days of evils, okay? And right now you're starting to see what? That confusion, okay, from these Babylonians here, these citizens here of Babylon who are becoming confused. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. They can't get any help because if you have a job, if a man is married and got a wife and both of you working, but you can't make it, they don't give a damn about that because they tell you what? Well, you make too much money to be on the system, you see? So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, all right? And they don't care, they being the powers that be, okay? So Babylon is in for a very, very rough time until, and it's just going to get worse, all right, until finally destruction hits, all right? But we see that these plagues are beginning to hit all of those who are enemies to the Most High and to his children, okay? And they've had their way for so long now, and now it's their turn to take a bite of that sour apple, and they don't want to do it. You see, they want to cry and bitch and moan and complain, okay? Because there's no big house with the white picket fence, okay? All right? So the elites have snatched away that bullshit-ass dream, right, known as the American dream, has taken it away from you. Now you've waken up, all right, or you woken up to a nightmare. Okay, that's your reality here in Babylon the Great. All right, so with that's all I got for that. Lord willing, it was edifying. And we're in the lesson right here. All right, giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. Shalom.